Hey, this is David checking in here before things get started. As you may have seen, this is a From the Vault episode. Now, if you've never heard one of those, it just basically means we couldn't record for whatever reason, and we're giving you instead one of our practice episodes. We did about 5 or 6 episodes before we felt confident enough to publish anything, and we held on to those for a rainy day, and here it is. So this is Dante's Peak, the Pierce Brosnan film from the late 90s, and it's an interesting one. The episode itself is pretty good, pretty funny. The movie is also well worth watching, but this is one where we were still trying out early formats. We kind of go back and forth and sort of recap the whole plot. It kind of got bogged down. It was a little bit too long, but overall I think it was a pretty fun episode, but let us know what you think. So yeah, here we go. It's From the Vault, Dante's Peak.
Hey everybody, this is Marion Cowagowan.
And this is David Owen.
And this is You Show Me Yours, the podcast where a married couple talks about the movies and TV that they loved before the first date. And today, I was made to watch Dante's Peak.
Yeah, you were.
Yes, I was. Dante's Peak is, among other things, the movie that proves that what you name your town predicts its future. So don't be careless about this. Yeah.
Yes. Dante's Peak, of course, is the 1997 Pierce Brosnan and Linda Hamilton volcano movie that made it to theaters just about a month and a half before the movie Volcano.
I was going to say, you have to specify the Pierce Brosnan volcano movie because there was another one, right?
Yes, literally just called Volcano. So points for creativity.
I suppose.
Now, if you've never seen Dante's Peak, obviously we're going to talk a lot about it during the course of this, but we'll give you the quick overview. Pierce Brosnan is a volcanologist, and just like Mr. Spock. And that's a joke from the movie.
Right.
And that was the one. That was the one joke in the movie.
Yeah.
And he is dispatched to the lonely Oregon town?
Idaho, I think.
Idaho? Okay, so somewhere in that
that's what Wikipedia says.
Yeah,
How much do we trust that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But we know it's east of Seattle.
Yes, yes. And near Portland. Near enough to Portland that the U.S. Geologic Survey out of Portland would serve this area. Anyway, so he goes there, and the town is in the midst of celebrating their second place finish in a best place to live under 20,000 population award from Money Magazine. And then Dante's Peak explodes and
happens.
Yes. Yeah. And everybody has to run away.
Yeah. How do you suppose it'll rank on next year's list?
Yeah. Not as well.
Yeah, probably not. So yeah. And he is working in this endeavor to save the town. Of course, it's your classic science disaster movie. Somebody's got to prove to people that there really is a disaster waiting to happen, and nobody believes them. And if they had only listened, it would have been fine.
Yeah, there's always a scientist that knows, right? There's always a scientist that is he knows exactly what's up, and no one trusts him. No one trusts. Well, let's get into it because we can say that in some ways potentially, Harry Dalton's boss Paul. Is the people who distrust him have a reason, because as we start the movie, we open in Colombia. We don't necessarily know it's Colombia then, but we find out later.
Yeah,
in the midst of a horrific volcanic event.
Yeah, it's never really explained, and I could have used a little more about the science of it, but it's stuff happening.
Sure,
it's not good.
I think the point to this scene is they want you to understand that volcanoes erupting. It's not just lava.
Yeah.
There's all this other stuff that happens. There's ash raining from the sky. There's fireballs, lava rocks, smashing down on the ground. Chaos.
It's not the lava flows you see from Hawaii that are moving at like 1 mile an hour and you can totally outrun them. Like stuff gets real. So.
Yeah. The distinction between volcanoes, yes, being that like you have active volcanoes that are active craters that literally have lava in them. And from time to time they overflow. And then you have your Mount St. Helens of the world, which are domed, closed over, inactive volcanoes for which pressure can build over time, causing explosive eruptions in addition to lava. So that's what they're trying to establish here. This ain't your, Hawaiian volcano. This is a Pompeii level disaster.
This is like, it could be a disaster. Well, and they mentioned Mount St. Helens a couple times, and I realized this was 1997.
Yeah.
So it was only, not that long after Mount St. Helens. So I guess they were like, oh, everybody knows, but I still could have used a little more science. Like, I want Dennis Quaid from Day After Tomorrow to come in and be like, okay, I have a PowerPoint.
Here we go.
I'm going to be Captain Exposition. I will explain this for you, and then it will make sense. But, whatever. The point is, volcano's bad.
Yes,
Stay
volcano's
away.
bad.
Don't live near one.
Yes, you shouldn't. Really, you should. I mean, within reason.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're immediately introduced to Harry, and he's evacuating the town with his love interest, who they pronounce her name Marion.
I know. I was very excited because
Like
there's no
yours.
Marions in film.
Except
it's
for
very
there are.
rare.
There's Maid Marian, there's Marion the librarian. Like you have potentially more memorable, famous Marions than I have Davids.
Except none of them are like Marion, like the librarian. That's not really. They're not sex symbols. This one could have been sexy, but she's spoiler. She's dead.
Yes. So as I said, he pronounces it Marion, but it's spelled Marianne in the credits.
So thumbs down. Thumbs
yes. So yes, they are evacuating, and she is immediately hit in the head by a flying lava rock and dies.
She doesn't suffer. It is instantly over.
Boom.
And he gets out, and I guess there wasn't a lot. I would have expected like. Now he's overly sensitive about getting everybody out early or some sort of trauma that he's dealing with. And it wasn't really, you didn't really see a whole lot of that.
I don't know. I mean, I think that the whole first half of the coming to terms with what's happening in the town is basically that. If they're not bludgeoning you in the head with it, hey, we'll move on. We'll explore that as we get.
Okay.
There's a conversation to have there.
All right.
So yeah, anyway, 4 years later, we're taking turns on points, remember?
I can't see.
Yep, we'll put your glasses on.
Yeah. So
I did the first point.
So yeah. So 4 years later, he is doing push-ups in his apartment at an alarming rate. I mean, I didn't know that was possible. This is to show you that he's buff and he's an action star. You don't see a whole lot of.
This is peak Pierce Brosnan. It's around Goldeneye. It's around when his stock was at its highest, I would say.
Can I just sidebar? I was like, James Bond is a scientist? Like, I wanted somebody a little more rugged for this, but regardless, it's Pierce Brosnan. So, okay.
I don't know. He has a sort of young Harrison Ford kind of quality in Indiana Jones sort of quality.
Well, and I'm never going to complain about watching Pierce Brosnan, but not who I would have cast. Anyway, so he's doing vigorous push-ups in his apartment and gets call like, hi, I'm sorry. I know you're about to go on vacation. I need you to come into work because there's seismic activity in Dante's Peak. And it's bad enough that they want to call him in and for him to go there. And he arrives in the middle of their Pioneer Days festival. And they're celebrating this award they've gotten. And it's all very quaint.
Yes.
The motel is called Cluster's Last Stand, which I didn't quite understand, but I'm sure it's a joke.
A mining joke, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
There's a mine in the town.
Yeah.
We got to establish that early on.
Yes.
So this is one of those movies that is very much, you don't introduce a blank in the first act if you don't reference it in the third act.
There's Chekhov's guns all over the place.
Yes.
There's a lot.
Yes.
There's Chekhov's armory.
There's a mine in the town, a defunct mine, which is causing the town to now need, and again, we're layering on the plot here. It's causing the town to now need a new investment of jobs in the form of some sort of
we never really found out what.
Right.
Yeah.
Some rich guy who's come here because they've been named the number 2 best place to live under 20,000 by Money Magazine.
To build his something
factory
there.
of we don't know something. Who knows?
And
so this is the comeback for this town. Like this is the thing that's going to get him back on the map. And here comes Harry Dalton saying,
with a wet blanket.
You might have a lava blanket.
Yeah.
You might have a volcano. And so he's kind of investigating this. They go around, they take some samples. You meet the mayor. Sorry, we forgot about that. Rachel Wando.
Yeah, that's a terrible name. That's a terrible name.
And she's kind of giving them the tour. You meet her kids, one of which is hiding out in the abandoned, now condemned mine. And the other one is just a cute
adorable
little girl.
Yeah.
And you meet the kids. They somehow get they get dragged on this whole adventure to show Mr. Volcanologist the volcano, somehow then her mother and ex-mother-in-law gets on this trip too, because we've got to meet all the characters,
Right.
So all of the characters are going to be important later on.
Yeah. Mother-in-law is a bit of a sourpuss, does not, as I suppose your ex-mother-in-law is wont to be to you, and they don't have a great relationship, but she loves kids. And she lives by herself way up on top of the mountain.
In a very sentimental cabin that her and her husband built with their own hands. And again,
and she doesn't want to live anywhere else.
You don't introduce.
Are you getting it?
Yeah,
Are
you don't
getting
introduce
it?
a hand-built cabin in the first act. If
if you're not,
so forth.
Right.
You don't introduce cute kids or a cute dog in the first act.
Yes.
So anyway, so they head over to take samples and do various things, and the grandmother, they tag along with the kids because they have this great idea. They'll go by the hot springs and take a dip. Well, we had seen earlier that a promiscuous couple from L.A. or something took.
They didn't even say they were promiscuous, but I like how you assumed that they were because they're from LA.
Well, I mean, promiscuous, maybe not the right word exactly, but
horny, I believe is the word.
Yes. So they took a dip in the hot springs too. They thought that was a great idea too.
And it wasn't.
The hot springs opened up and it started to boil and boiled them alive. And the kids and grandmother discover
them. Yeah, they get there and there's this nice coat of steam over the whole thing, and one of the kids is about to run and do a cannonball in, and Harry realizes just in time what's going on and stops him and grabs him, and it's very dramatic, and there's bodies floating in the water and they're scalded, and
and
things are not good.
So this causes Harry, with his previous trauma, to, some will say later in the movie, overreact and call a meeting of the city council and present to them the idea that they should vote on basically putting the town on alert, and that, this is serious, and, we got 2 dead and boiling hot springs, and the pH of the water in the lake is off, and etc. He's got his reasons. He's got a nice chart that he's showing people.
Yeah, whenever always believe people with charts.
Yes.
I mean, don't look at them just like, oh, he has charts.
Yeah.
So he's fine.
I don't know what he's saying, but he clearly does, because you wouldn't pay in 1997 to go to Kinko's to have that printed.
Right. Well, no one's going to make a chart for evil purposes. No, just don't do that. So.
No, not at all. So anyway, and then right in the midst of his big moment,
his boss comes and makes the trip from Portland to Idaho very quickly, I thought. So, but anyway, that's movie magic. So, and the boss says, calm down, you're flying off the handle. And one of the city council members gets all upset because if word of this gets out
to the rich guy
that we have hot springs that kill people, then they won't build us here and we're all in trouble.
Tourists are dead.
Yes.
And in fact, Paul, the boss, recounts a story where he had called what ended up to be a false alarm in another town and basically devastated its economy, because we wouldn't want to cause people a panic and ruin the economy. Right. That's topical.
Yes.
There's probably no one ever listening to this, but if you were listening to this, this was recorded in September of 2020.
And the whole concept of, I want to play it down so as not to cause a panic is...
Hopefully you're listening to this from a brighter future.
We hope. Oh, please, God. Have you left your house recently?
Right.
Then it's better.
Doing better than us.
Yes.
So anyhow, so you just got to calm down. Everybody calm down. The team starts to monitor, and it seems like, okay, maybe something's here. Like they get little earthquakes. They got a little something going on.
Yeah, they said something like there's 75 microquakes. Yeah. And the mayor says, oh my gosh, that sounds bad. No, that's totally normal. That's fine. That's fine.
So, they're standing down on alerting everybody and making a big deal out of it as they continue to monitor. So part of this monitoring is they take their fancy robot,
$450,000,
which has a 15-pound NASA backpack. Again, it's called Elf. You don't introduce an elf in the first act if you're not going to use it. I can't say that is this movie's
It should have been called Chekhov's Peak.
Yes,
really.
Yes.
It should have.
Bonus points for knowing that, the Chekhov part.
Of course.
I know not everybody
you
knows
underestimate
it.
me.
I don't underestimate you.
Do.
I don't.
Anyway,
so they go to the crater. Excuse me. They go to the crater, and with this robot now light of his elf backpack because it was causing the robot trouble moving. So this tracking system that NASA wanted them to test on this robot, they leave it behind at the facility, where they're staging all this, and they take the robot off to the crater.
Yeah, and what the robot was supposed to do in the crater was never quite clear, and it doesn't really matter because it doesn't get to do it anyway.
It doesn't really
But
work.
it's one of these, like, it's a spider. It's got all these legs with springs on it so it can go maneuver over rough terrain. But then it gets caught up on a rock. You would think that they would have tested that part somewhere.
Well, I think that's the design of it, is these multi-spider legs to get over stuff like that. That would be the idea,
yeah.
But it doesn't work. And so our our requisite goofy scientist, like dude bro kind of goofball. If you've seen Twister, he's like the Jack Black character in Twister. Basically, he's just like the dude. He's in charge of the robot, and it gets stuck, and he goes down to get it, and is in a cave-in when there's an earthquake close to the surface, and he gets injured. They fly him out, everything's okay, but again, oh, by the way, his name is Terry.
Yeah, we have Terry and Harry,
and
which
they're in a scene together. So Terry gets his leg broken, has some injuries, but of course this causes Harry to again sound the alarm. We've got to, come on, look at what just happened. We've got to do it.
He says, I felt the quakes. They were this type and not that type. And I don't know. They were the more, and Paul again is like, chill.
Yeah, he's basically like, well, okay, let's just hold your horses. Let's give it a day. Fast forward to a week later. Nothing is happening. Everything's normal. And they're basically going to leave. They're like, this is it. Dante's Peak. This is the end of the movie. Sorry that we led you on. Nothing's going to happen. There's nothing interesting
nothing
here.
To see here.
We're leaving. And so they do their requisite, like last night in town. And Harry is the whole time been sort of nursing this budding relationship with the mayor. And so he heads over on his last night there. I guess he's, he wants to conduct some mayoral business, if you know what I'm talking about.
They were very sweet and appropriate.
Because they're both like, her husband left her 6 years ago. His Mary Ann died 4 years ago. So they're both like, I haven't done this in a while. I haven't either.
They're both bruised people.
Yeah. So anyway, he heads over there, and, just when he's about to seal the deal, as they say,
I feel like we need a geological euphemism for this. I don't know what that would be, but he's about to take a sample. I don't know.
To delve into the mine shaft.
That's too much. That's too much.
So anyway, the girl, Lauren, I don't know.
7-ish.
Yeah. Wakes up. I want a drink of water.
And Rachel says, okay, instead of saying, there's a sink upstairs, get it yourself, which is what I would say. But Rachel's a better mother than I am. Anyway, so she goes to get the water, and the water is not what you would call drinkable. It's brownish, dirty, and it smells foul. And Harry knows what's up. He says, show me where your water supply is coming from.
And immediately.
And now it's on. The clock has begun. And so because she's there, she has access to the municipal water supply, which is just inside a shed.
It's apparently. A spring. It's a spring.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, so you city folk.
Yes.
From the metropolis of Kankakee.
Right.
All my mountain relatives, they all had that. I mean, sometimes it was a house. It was just like literally just a little building shed built over a spring, and then they had a pump in there and all that. So it's basically well water, but it's a spring.
I was gonna say it's like well water writ large.
So it's the freshest mountain spring, so it's just this pure
full of
spring
volcanic
water.
ash.
Now it's full of volcanic ash.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
now it's gonna get real now, right? Like he's like, this is it, man. He calls Paul. They start seeing all these seismic activities happening. Yeah. Like they start seeing the signs now. So even though it's been quiet for a week, and as Harry predicted to Paul, these things can go dormant right before a big right before a big event. Yeah. So now it's starting to hype up, and we're going to have now our second meeting. Yeah. 2 meetings so far.
Yes. These people, they put a lot of faith in the power of meetings. Yes. Like earlier when they were having the city council meeting, somebody says, we should never have even had this meeting. And I was like, what power do you think this meeting has? Like, it's the action you take from it. Just the meeting itself is not a problem.
How dare you sully the good name of a meeting?
I love me some meetings. And as a Robert's Rules of Order stan, I am all about recognizing the power of a meeting. But I feel like It's a little exaggerated. Anyway, they have a meeting for the whole town.
Yeah, so now, it's whole town.
7,500 people.
Yes, and
at the high school.
Packed in the high school gym,
which
pretty
it
deep.
looked like a suspiciously new and big high school for a town that size.
Well, I think that she does make a reference in there that they've been like bringing the town back for 8 years. I'm assuming if I've got to make up a timeline for this, I'm assuming that the mine closed 8 to 10 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
Everything started to go south with the town, and they've been working to revitalize the town, make it a tourist spot, and attract new business. Thus, the second place in the Money magazine.
It was probably all those people who came from Seattle to live there, and their property taxes. That's why they have the new high school.
Right. So it's very possible. Like everything in this town has a sort of a sheen of newness to it, and she even references that, like I said at one point, that it took them 8 years to build this town back up.
Yeah. Spoiler: it's good. It takes about 8 seconds to undo it. And it's going to take longer than 8 years to rebuild again.
If ever. So anyway, they're at the town meeting, and then, boom.
The mountain blows its top.
It just starts happening.
Like a pimple that you just popped.
Yeah.
Like it is just, there's stuff on the mirror. Like it's bad. It's bad. And the ceiling falls into the high school, and people, of course, are stupid, and they're rushing out the entrance, and Harry's yelling, proceed calmly, do not push, do not push. Well, that's not going to work.
It always works to yell at people to calm down when they're hysterical.
And somebody gets trampled and blah, blah, blah.
Definitely.
And people stream out into the street, and there's smoke coming out of the top of the mountain, and steam and ash, and it's not good.
It's going down. Like Dante's Peak has exploded.
Can I just
has started to erupt? I guess this started to explode. I don't know the volcano terms.
Well, that's what I mean when I wanted a little bit more science. Like I wanted to know, okay, this is stage 1 of 5 or 2 of 4, whatever. But can I just, if you've done any reading in the classics from the Middle Ages, you know that nothing that Dante put together was a nice place to be.
Right.
Don't call it Dante's Peak. That is bad juju. And here is where it's coming home to roost.
Yes, you get what you deserve.
Pretty much. I mean, it's like, I can't even think of anything quite as bad. It's like calling your town Pompeii. Like, no.
Right. Pompeii 2.
Yeah. Or bigger and ashier. And I don't know. Or, yeah, as they say in The Music Man, Pompeii. Don't call it that either. Anyway, So anyway, now they realize they got to get out of here. They got to go get the kids. Well, specifically now we sort of break off into our groups for the climax of the movie and everything. You've got Harry and Rachel who have to go get her kids, of course, because they left her kids at home. It was the 90s. You could do that.
Right. Well, they had to have an emergency town meeting. So, of course, you got to just leave your kids at home. I mean, you can't get a babysitter because the babysitter's at the emergency town meeting.
That's right.
So Harry and Rachel, they're off to get her kids. Paul and the misfit scientists, they all go to sort of start their monitoring to try to get the real data. What's going on? How much time do we have?
Although at this point, I think you don't need data. The big smoke cloud coming out of the mountain is enough data for me. But
absolutely. Well, I think that they're kind of like gauging. They're trying to get the National Guard in there. They're gauging how much time do they have to evacuate. Yeah. I think they're trying to gauge that sort of stuff. But as I think Harry says at one point, it's not an exact science. Predicting volcanic eruptions is not an exact science. Yeah. So they're trying to get whatever information they can. Yeah. So
meanwhile, the kids are at home and they don't know exactly what's happening, but they can tell something has happened that's gone bad. And they're worried about their grandmother because, remember, she lives up on the mountain on her own. And they called her earlier in the day before this meeting happened to say, hey, you need to come down with us so that she can leave town soon if you want to. And she said, no, I'm not going to. I'm in my house. She didn't say I was born here and I'll die here, but that was pretty much
right.
What
essentially. So they head back to get the kids, all sorts of chaos. They just so happen to luckily be in a Bronco that has a snorkel on it, so they can drive through the river instead of going over the clogged bridge. And
they for Oregon Trail generation, they didn't caulk it to ford the river, but that's basically what they did.
They tried to ford the river because you got options, right? You find the ferry, you ford the river, or you caulk the wagon and you float across. So they tried to ford it.
Fording and caulking are different.
Are two different things.
Maybe that's
right?
why I
So
always died.
The fording costs you less time.
That's true.
But
yes.
is higher risk. The caulking causes you more time, but is lower risk.
Okay.
And of course, the ferry costs you the most, but it's zero risk.
And
so they elect to ford the river.
Yes.
And it turns out okay for them.
For them, not the people that followed them, I think.
No. Some people in just like a Buick LeSabre just try to ford the river.
You know what's funny? The joke about those like 80s and early 90s era cars is that they're like boats.
Yeah.
Didn't work this time.
They're like lead boats. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't float. And so they're heading to get the kids. But in the meantime, the kids have a bright idea.
Yeah. The kids decide we're going to go up the mountain and get grandma and the boy, the elder one, who is, I don't know, what, 10, 11? Like
he's got to be older than that. He looks 12, 13.
I would say he could be short and be as old as 14, but not driving age.
Well, you're in a mountain town. Like you're teaching these kids. And by 15, he's going to be getting his permit and all this stuff, depending on the laws of the local state, municipalities. So he's potentially had some time on the stick, and it is a stick shift. It's revealed. But he knows how to drive it.
Yeah.
Now, that's a point. You could have just totally left that out of the movie, that it was a stick shift.
I didn't pick up on that at all.
To, suspend the disbelief a little more that this like 14-year-old, 12-year-old can drive this Bronco.
I gotta say,
this is a Toyota, Highlander, or whatever.
I didn't get the hang of stick shift until I was 22.
Yes.
Stick shift is rough.
Yes.
And when did you get the hang of stick shift?
I don't know.
Never.
I never had an opportunity to drive one. It's not that I didn't want to.
You did.
What are you talking about?
You could drive my car.
Oh, no. Yeah, I felt like I got the hang of driving the stick shift when I drove your car. I mean, we drove it to freaking Illinois. I feel like I did my part, and I'm
teasing you. And then you were like, I don't ever want to drive this again.
Well, yeah. I mean, I also don't want to hunt and kill and skin and butcher my own meat because I have the option not to. So I'm going to take that option.
Anyway, so
now we've got our real, like, this is the rest of the movie here. We're going to kids go to get grandma. They luckily and very considerately leave a handwritten note saying where they went. So when Harry and Rachel arrive, they immediately see, oh my God, they went to get grandma.
I like the PS. PS, don't be mad.
Yeah, don't be mad.
Fat Jan's kid.
They go to get grandma. They're up the mountain. They get to get through the ash, and it's all crazy.
At
Kids
this point, ash is in the air everywhere.
Yeah, like
visibility is zero. Like I don't know how the car made it up the mountain without getting hit by a boulder, because there were lots of boulders falling down.
Yeah, at a point, landslides and stuff start happening.
Yeah.
And in fact, the road gets cut off just after our heroes Harry and Rachel make it through. The road gets cut off, so the kids are at grandma's house. Harry and Rachel arrive at grandma's house.
And they say, let's get inside to get away from the ash. And then the ash says, I'm going to come inside too. And because the lava flow from the mountain eats up the house.
Yes. So yeah, they're like doing the requisite packing, like grab your most prized possessions, because this place is not going to be here tomorrow morning. And just boom, lava.
Your most prized possessions are the shoes on your feet.
Yes.
And your body.
The house,
that's all you have time for.
Cabin just bursts into flames.
Yes.
And we got to mention here at this point, because it's going to come up later, the dog has gone missing.
Yes.
Grandma has a dog, like Ralphus or something. I don't know his name. Grandma's got a dog. And initially when Harry and Rachel arrive, the kids and grandma are nowhere to be found because they're out looking for the dog who ran away, because of the volcano.
Because dog knows what's up.
Right. He knows what's up. So he runs away. And so, everybody's sad, like, oh God, we're leaving without the dog. And the road is blocked. So the house just got engulfed in lava. So they're really not going anywhere. So luckily they see
a boat, a metal boat, just to point out.
A little aluminum.
And there's a little lake. And I'm unclear on the geography at this point, but I guess if there's fire on 3 sides of you and there's a water on the 4th and you have a boat, like, you get in the boat and you go. And they go and they're putting along, and then they look in the water and all the fish are dead. And that's ominous. And then they realize the boat has a little bit of a leak. What's up with that? And Harry says, oh, well, the ash has turned the water acidic. And somebody says, acid eats through metal.
Linda Hamilton says, acid eats metal. Yeah, they did that thing, like, it's the thing I've seen interviews with screenwriters for Star Trek, like The Next Generation, where they would just put, like, oh, Captain, we've got to get and then they would just put, like, tech stuff.
Yeah.
in brackets there, and it would be like a technical consultant's job to like the flux capacitor or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like that was his explanation. Like, well, the ash and the sulfur coming from the buried volcanic lava tubes, and anyway, the lake is acid.
Science.
Yeah, science. Lake is acid.
I looked this up, by the way. And the USGS has a page on its site that says, does volcanic ash make water unsafe for humans and animals? And the answer is basically yes, but not the way you think. Right. It does make it extremely acidic, down to 0.01 pH, which, if you recall, neutral pH is 7, and it goes up to 14 on the other end. So 0.1 is like really not good. Mm-hmm. And it can burn your skin. But it says, I know I got to find it because it was phrased so delicately. Acidic lakes that are capable of dissolving an aluminum boat in a matter of minutes, as seen in movies, are not realistic. So I sort of feel like the USGS and any other scientific organization, whenever a movie comes out that's got some disaster science happening, they're just like, oh
yeah,
not again.
Sometimes they go out of their way, and I feel like Dante's Peak did this thing that a lot of these movies do, where they basically get the real science. Like they hire a consultant, they get the real science, they get the real info, and then they go, this isn't quite what
scary
we want.
Enough.
Right.
Yeah.
This doesn't quite fit with what the action we'd like to see in the movie. Yeah. So let's take this stuff that's based in like pretty much in some real like actual science, and let's
make it worse.
Yeah, let's make it worse or less worse, which we'll talk about that in a minute. Less worse. So anyway, yes, it's acidic, and not only does it burn and devour boats, but it devours metal like the propeller on the engine, which leaves them just
stranded
10, 20 feet from the other side of the lake, and they're trying to paddle with like jackets on their hands. And they're just, the boat is going down, and there's the kids are
they're
freaking
all
out.
Like they're trying to sit on the edge and keep their feet out of the water and everything. And Grandma finally decides, I'm old, I'm lived my life, and she jumps out into the water.
And I'm literally the reason that we're all going to die. Like I think it feels like for that character, that's the arc that she goes through, because she has a tearful death scene in a minute.
Yeah,
we'll talk about. And she goes through this arc of like, oh my God, they're all only here because they cared about me, and they came here, and I was stupid and stubborn and wanted to stay on this mountain for a possession, a home.
Yeah.
The memories
Which
that I made there,
now,
it's gone. Yeah. The memories that I made there could come with me and live on. And so she jumps in and pulls them to shore, and then her legs are all ate up.
I mean, by the time she mercifully dies, and we're not talking like she's got burned skin, like she has no bones. Like I would say she's got knees and everything. I mean, everything's eaten away below like 3 inches below her knee, right? There was only one shot.
I feel like maybe was a little, your imagination maybe created some stuff, but that's the gist of it. Yeah,
she was not going to be walking around doing anything after this. And I felt bad. I burst out laughing during
her like
part of her
pained, like she's jumping out of the water, like how do you, that's a challenge for an actor, right? Act like you just had your legs burned off by acid.
There's no method acting that prepares you for that.
Right.
So
Daniel Day-Lewis is sitting in a vat of acid somewhere.
Right.
So that he can
prepping.
Do that.
He can do Dante's Peak too. So I would have bought him as the volcanologist, by the way.
Yeah, maybe.
I think, and he gets to stay alive no matter what occurs. Anyway, so Grandma dies. We have some nice apologies between her and Rachel, and then they just leave her body there because,
Yes. Well, because they've got to live, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a tearful goodbye, and she dies. They're like 2 more miles to the ranger station, which I guess is they've decided this is their kind of way out, because at this point they're kind of ahead of everything. They've still ash and all that stuff's happening, but there's maybe like a little bit of a lull.
Yeah.
And they're headed to the ranger station.
They think maybe they've gotten over the worst of it. Meanwhile, everyone in town has gotten out. As many as could. There were the roads were full and some bridges collapsed, and most people in town are either gone or dead.
Right. National Guard shows up and they do the rest of the evacuation, and at this point there's only like 2 Humvees and the scientists left, like a handful of National Guards and the scientists. So they all start to evacuate.
Yeah. And Paul radios Harry and says, I don't know if you can hear this, but we're leaving. Good luck.
Yeah. And so they're heading out of town on the only bridge because, of course, in addition to being built under a volcano, it's also in a valley that is on the other side of a river. So not only are they below a volcano, they're also hemmed in by a river.
There was very bad city planning here.
Yeah. There's actually a point that, having now watched this movie a couple times, including this one, that you look back on where you actually see Harry very early in the movie when they get to the hot springs. He's looking out over the town, and there's this very like beautiful shot, nature beauty of the valley and the town below. But there's just like this subtle thing that you kind of get from Pierce Brosnan, or at least I got at this time, of him looking at it going, oh my God, like at this point, he doesn't know that there's going to be a volcano or anything like that, but he's looking at it and going, okay,
there's no relief valve.
They're in a valley on the other side of a river. The river is held back by a dam and they're under a volcano. He's like, he looks out at it and there's this, it seems to be this realization. I might be adding, something to his performance here because it was certainly the realization I had knowing what was going to happen in the movie of like, oh my God, this town is in the worst possible position. It's literally in a valley. So the lava and everything's going to flow down to it.
Yeah.
It's, and they're going to get cut off by the river. And it's just like, it's going to be a disaster. Like this is just the way the place this is built. Like it's a catastrophe waiting to happen. So
bad news all over.
So anyway, Paul and the other scientists who stuck it out to the end with the National Guard, they're escaping on the only bridge in town. And there's some really good special effects in this movie. There's a lot of really good miniature work in this movie because, we're in 97, 98. Like we're talking about around the time that the Star Wars prequels came out where CGI was there, but it wasn't, you couldn't do this with it. We're just a few years removed from Independence Day and these disaster movies that did these crazy explosions and all this stuff. On a much smaller scale with miniatures. And there's some really good miniature work in the dam breaking, because the dam breaks. The dam breaking and all the buildings collapsing and the explosions and just really good work overall. And they're heading across this bridge and the water level is basically up to the bridge.
And there's debris floating down too.
Like slamming into the bridge like part of a house.
Yeah.
And everybody gets away. But for some reason, just Paul was in a van. Remember, let's not forget here, Paul is the guy who doubted our hero.
Right.
Yeah. He's in a van by himself, I'm presuming with the equipment.
I'm assuming.
And the rest of the scientists are in one of the 2 Humvees at the beginning of this little caravan. So they get through just barely. He gets trapped on the bridge, tries to get out.
Swept away.
Tragedy strikes.
Bye, Paul. Never be a doubter in a disaster movie because you will die.
I mean, he got what he deserved. Justice was served. If he had only listened to Harry, he would be alive.
Yes.
And that guy who was trampled in the gym would be alive. Everybody else, the
grandma would be alive.
The pilot who we forgot. So there's this whole little subplot with this like jerk pilot who's like taking them up to the mountain for surveys. And then when the guy gets injured in the crater, Terry, he
overcharges them.
Yeah, he renegotiates his contract. And in the midst of the evacuation, he's charging people, including, I think, the rich businessman.
Yes. And then the council member that was so concerned about economic development.
He's charging them to leave. And Paul sees this and he's like, you can't fly in that chopper. It's gonna suck the ash into the motor. But he doesn't care and he doesn't hear him. And they fly off and have a plane crash. So
into a gas station. Right. And it explodes. So like no chance of,
they would be alive. The rich guy, the doubting councilman and the jerk pilot, they would all be alive if Paul had just, instead of interrupting him in that meeting with the city council, if he had just said, because he literally says this at one point in the movie, Harry is my best man. He is my number one expert on volcanoes. I should trust him. But he doesn't say that last part about I should trust him. He says, I don't want, there are political considerations here that I need to take into account as the boss and the guy who's in charge. I've got to keep all sides of this happy. Like I've got crazy scientist who probably knows what he's talking about, but I've also got a tourism industry and Money Magazine and a rich guy who he can't scare off from this town or they'll go completely under.
Yeah. So he does say at some point, I forget when, but he says, I don't know if it means anything, but you were right and I was wrong. And to his credit, Harry does not say, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Harry just says, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it was just this kind of like,
it's not okay, but
yeah, it's not okay. Like,
at that
what
point,
are you supposed to say, right?
Someone's death warrant is sealed.
I think it's when they're going to get the kids or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Paul's dead.
Yeah.
Like, well, you're always, speaking of volcano, there is a very similar, it's not exactly the same, but there's a very similar Paul character, Paul type character, played by Drew Carey's brother. If you get that, if you get that reference,
yeah, he never plays anybody nice.
Well, yeah, he's kind of like he has just like Paul, he has his moment where he comes around or whatever.
Okay, and
he also gets his comeuppance, so to speak.
Yeah,
but at the same time, sure, Paul like dies a hero's death, sort of, or whatever. Like he could have left 10 minutes sooner. And lived, but so anyway, so there's our scientists are safe, but Paul, he's dead,
except for Paul. But the other ones are they're watching horribly, and they don't know where Harry is, but they're assuming that he's not.
Harry's done. Like, well, the bridge is out, so there's no way. I mean, Harry's done.
Yeah,
and grandma would have lived.
Yeah,
stubborn grandma would have lived, even with her. They might have had to drag her away, or maybe she would have stayed. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, so now we're stages set for our finale here.
So Harry and Rachel and the kids are in a truck
they got from the ranger station.
Yes,
because Harry knows how to hotwire a car.
Yeah, I don't. Looking at Pierce Brosnan, I don't believe that he knows how to do that. But this is again
been
where
all over
I
the
say
world, Mary, in Colombia and Bogota and Korea and wherever. He says a bunch of places he's followed volcanoes.
Sure,
so he knows. He's
I don't know.
On the streets.
I believe Daniel Day-Lewis would know those things.
Yes. Also, earlier we were talking about Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yes.
And I think you confused him with Leonardo DiCaprio.
What? No.
Because you said stay alive no matter what occurs.
That's Daniel Day-Lewis from Last of the Mohicans.
Oh, right. Now I'm confusing him with
I've been saying this to you for our entire marriage, and you get this wrong. You thought I was quoting Leonardo DiCaprio to you?
For some reason, I thought you were quoting Jack from Titanic.
No.
That's hey. That's my mistake.
Oh,
you were. God. I thought. See, this is the thing. I thought you were confused, but I was the one that was confused.
No, you think so little of me that I'm going to quote. I don't think so little of you.
Listen, I'm just a simple man from Kentucky. Okay. I'm not over here saying I want to eat the white hare's heart. I'm just trying to make it in the world. Okay. I know that movie, see?
Yes, you do.
So anyway, there we go. Daniel Day-Lewis
hotwires the car, and they at some point they're still driving. I guess because I don't know the bridge is out, so they're just driving to try to get away from stuff. And at some point, they come across a lava flow that has crossed a road. And even if you don't know anything about lava, there's flames coming up from it. So that this is...
It looks, it did that thing that lava does, which is sort of immediately, once it stops flowing, it starts to harden. So it looks, crusty.
And it's black. So
it's black, it's crusty. Maybe we can do this.
Nature's asphalt, maybe. I don't know, but there's flames.
Yeah,
so
they don't really have any other choice.
Right.
Right.
So they go across it and they get stuck and the tires are burning and
it's really it looks really good. The special effects really make you feel like it's lava, but also if it was lava, like, boom, that's it. That would be the car would be.
And when they inevitably get off from the lava, they just keep driving, which sort of dampens the terror that we just had.
Yeah, I mean they do sort of seem to make a special point to show that the tires are like all jacked up in the cars. But while they're escaping on the lava,
they find the dog.
They find the dog just sitting on a rock,
who looks a little singed. I was like, "Oh, poor pups!" Oh,
and there's a dramatic dog rescue.
Yeah, they have like a one drive by where they can get the dog. So
we got the dog.
So now it's 4 humans and a dog in a truck, and they drive through town, and everything's covered in ash. I mean, and it looks like it's snowing this whole time, but it's just ash falling down, and it's you have to have the wipers on because the ash is falling.
It's crazy.
So, and they're going through town, and Harry has a brainstorm.
Yes,
and goes back to the hotel where all the scientists had been staying, and gets Chekhov's gun.
Chekhov's elf.
Yes, this is big yellow thing that says elf, which is electronic location finder or something
like that.
So, and he gets that, and then the mountain is like, I am done with y'all.
It blows. Like, boom. Now it really just explodes.
I mean, it is,
And now, so earlier, remember, we introduced this in a previous act. I mentioned about massaging the science.
Yes.
So now it explodes, and Harry says, "Oh, it's a pyroclastic cloud," which also I think is called a pyroclastic flow, and it's basically just thousands. It's a ball of ash and air and fire that's thousands of degrees. It's just super hot, and it is coming down the mountain, and they're running from it. Like I think I wrote down in my notes. Let me see exactly what I wrote down. Now the mountain erupts, real explodes, pyroclastic cloud. They race it. So they're driving away from it. They're racing it. And again, so real pyroclastic flows travel at hundreds of miles an hour.
Yeah.
That explosion that happened would have been something akin to what happened in Mount St. Helens, which was like a huge explosion that just boom, and it flattened trees for
like
miles.
You don't have time to react, probably.
Yeah, and it burned. It wouldn't have been. You can't run from a pyroclastic flow. Like it's not. You couldn't run from it. So in this case, they lessened the severity of the science instead of increasing the severity of the science. Yeah. So they're running from a pyroclastic flow.
And they're in like an old Dodge pickup that
it's like
with the busted tires goes 30
yes.
miles an hour. Yeah.
So and again, more really good special effects. Great flame effects in the clouds and all this stuff.
And buildings are being flattened left and right. I mean, this town is rubble. There is
it's
nothing.
Done. It's done. I think one of the things I said to you about this movie was it's lower stakes than most disaster movies, but they still get in a lot of really good stuff.
Yes.
Like there's no monument that everybody knows about the bank and loan in Dante's Peak. We all know what that thing looks like, and we're going to see it blown up. Like, there's nothing that we know that's going to get blown up, but there's still plenty of
But the devastation
action.
is 100%. So, yeah.
So anyway, they're running from it, and Harry has a bright idea.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this was like pre-formed with his plan when he picked up the elf or not.
Yeah, it's not really explained. He's just doing it.
I mean, at this point, he knows they can't get across the river because they get to the river and it's just like filled with ash and muck, and like the bridge is gone. Mm-hmm. And Rachel says, that's it. We're done. Like, that's the one way out of town.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he knows at this point, and he's, again, we introduced a mine shaft in the first act. Yeah. So he knows. So he goes and gets his Chekhov starter kit. Yeah. With his elf, and he heads to the mine.
Then he's driving in the car, and he just basically speeds up. And I thought they were still trying to outrace this cloud, but no, he's driving to crash through the cover that's on the mine, so they can get in, and I guess presumably get away from this cloud.
Right.
But I have to say, taking shelter in a mine, does not seem smart. I mean, any port in a storm.
Yeah.
But I know nothing about mines, and yet I know that they collapse.
Seismic activity, right? So, tends to not be kind to mine.
Yes.
Mines.
So, but I'm sure, it's either that or, you find a way to end it all quietly. I don't know. But anyway, so they're in the mine.
So, I mean, I think this is, it's sort of just like his Hail Mary, if you will. It's just thing like, okay, I don't know, like we can't get across the river. We can't be outside. No building will withstand this pyroclastic cloud. So we're just going to
guess we go in here, and if there's a collapse, it'll be quick and we'll be done. I don't know.
So anyway,
so they go in, and this has been Graham's hideout. So he's got some snacks. I imagine it's like some Rice Krispie treats and fruit roll-ups and
right. What was the hip 97? What was the hip snack?
Fruit by the foot.
Fruit by the foot. Sure, he's got some of that. He's probably got some bubble tape in there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
6 feet of bubble gum for you. Not them.
That's right. Maybe he's a little too old at that point for Big League Chew.
But I mean, that stuff lasts forever. So.
Although I bet he had, guarantee you, at that point, he had some sunflower seeds in the shell.
Oh,
David's brand.
Yes.
Sunflower seeds in the shell.
Was it too late for Crystal Pepsi? That was earlier.
Yeah, that was
okay.
90. It was like early 90s.
If he had been a girl, he would have had some of those bottled Starbucks Frappuccinos. But I don't think 12-year-old boys had those.
No. So they made it to the mine, and they're not dead. They're not dead yet because now they're trapped in the mine because they've driven the truck in, as far in as they could till it wedged itself in the entrance, and I guess somehow prevented the pyroclastic flow from just following them in.
So
I'm not
yeah,
100%
I don't know.
on that.
Go with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
science.
So they get out of the truck and they make their way into the hideout, whatever. And then Harry says, "Oh, I forgot the elf. Let me go back.
Oh, just go
and get it." And he does. And then,
well, at first, before he does, to calm them, he promises to take them deep sea fishing, because I don't know why. I guess that's just his way of calming them down.
Earlier, when they were saying, "Sorry to call you in for your vacation," I think he was supposed to be going fishing.
Right.
On a
So this was the
trip.
vacation.
So something like that, But
sure.
yeah, because I guess the kids like him, and he's just assuming he's stepdad material.
Because he did magic trick.
Sure.
He did an invisible thread magic trick earlier and won him over.
Yeah. So, and yeah. Anyway, so he goes to get Elf. They're calmed. Rachel and the kids and the dog are in the back, and he goes to get Elf, and cave-in happens. And he is now separated from Rachel and the kids, and he still is going to go get the elf. And he gets in the truck.
Well, before when the cave-in happens,
falls on him.
When the cave-in happens, a rock falls on him.
Yes,
and breaks his arm.
And it's a compound fracture. And this is now the second time in a week that I have seen a compound fracture with a bone sticking out. I don't remember what the other one was in, but I hope to never see that again. That's just gross. So he gets in the truck to get the elf, and cave-in continues.
Yes.
And he is crushed more and more.
The ceiling, the roof of the truck is being crushed down under the weight of all these rocks that are falling on it. But
it's a convenient kind of crushed, because he's not hurt besides the arm. He's just really cramped.
Right. Yeah, I think it's just, it's like it's slowly caving in.
Yes. And he manages to, there was a recurring thing earlier with when equipment doesn't work, you just smack it.
Kick it.
And so he smacks the thing several times.
The elf doesn't work at first.
Yeah.
The elf, he clicks the button, it doesn't work. Yeah. He just starts kicking it.
And he smacks it, and it starts beeping. Cut to the command center where the remaining scientists have set up camp, and they're still monitoring things. And then dude is walking by the elf's control panel and says, "Hey, how long has that light been blinking?" And somebody says, "I don't know, a day or two."
A day or two.
So everybody's been hanging out in the cave for a day or two with no idea if they were going to be rescued.
Yep. And the Rachel and the kids have snacks.
Yes.
Brosnan
has nothing. Well, Rachel and the kids don't know if he made it. Well, right. To the thing. So they assume that they're just trapped forever. So we don't see their reaction to any of this.
Right.
And part of me is like, why are we taking their story out of it? But I don't really want to see what it's like to deal with two panicked kids for a day or two, because I'm getting PTSD just thinking about it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of entertainment value there. Like,
no.
Do you want it to be real, or?
I do believe you should tell the whole story, but I'm okay with not having that. So
yeah. So I mean, we got the elf signal got out. They received the signal, and so pretty much just cue the happy ending.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that sarcastically, like,
because that's really what happens. They
cue the happy ending.
They rescue Harry. Harry says, "Where's Paul?" "Oh, Paul didn't make it." Oh. Okay. Well, where's Rachel? Where's my new girlfriend? Oh, she's here. Kiss, kiss.
Well, and there's a weird moment, and at that moment I'm kind of thinking, like, I don't remember how this movie ends, 100%. And I'm thinking, like, it's the 90s. Like, people were doing sort of shitty endings to movies at times, and like just for a minute, because there's a bit of drama. Like, okay, they got the car out that was blocking the entrance. Now they're trying to get the Rachel and the kids out. There's this moment of like, oh god, they're gonna be like, shit, they're dead.
Yeah.
And then that's gonna be.
I was kind of wondering that too.
I was like, oh god, this is not. I don't remember that happening. And luckily, no, they just come out.
And
they hug, and the Graham is like, the boy kid is like, were you serious about the fishing trip? And he was like, yeah, I was. And
freeze frame,
frame
smile
on them helicopter riding out of the destroyed town.
And it is, I mean, to the ground.
Oh yeah, it's pretty bad.
It was pretty bad. So that's Dante's Peak.
Yeah.
So yeah. So when did you first see this? So 1997.
In theaters when it came out.
You were a senior in high school.
No, yeah, I guess technically. You know what? I might have. So later that year, I may have watched Volcano in the theaters, and later in late 97, by September of 97, I was I had moved to go to art school in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I was working at a video store, which pretty much meant that for like the next year and a half, I watched every movie that there was, like every movie I could get my hands on. A lot of the older stuff that I hadn't been able to watch yet. Classics. That was also around the time that the AFI released their like top 100 films. So that was really like a time of my life where I was getting my film education. In addition to all the stuff that I had watched as a kid, I was starting to watch things like the Charlie Chaplin movie, was a Gold Rush or Gold Mine, like the one from the 20s, you know, Chinatown and the Godfather movies and all these things that, you know, you don't necessarily think to watch as a 16-year-old, unless I guess you're just like film obsessed or something like that. I wasn't.
Dawson Leary.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Unless that's your character, unless that's how you're written. I was not written that way. I was written, if there had been a bunch of movies about comic books like there are now, I would have watched all those because that was me at 16. But yeah, so that's kind of probably when I watched this movie. Now that I'm thinking about it, because February, I bet that I probably watched Volcano, which came out in April of '97.
Okay.
In the theaters, but I'm willing to say that yeah, this probably was one of my early take homes from the video store job, and watched it then. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything like there's any big revelation about what, you know, my time with this movie or what it means, what it meant to me or whatever. I was, you know, that like Linda Hamilton was hot off of T2 and all that stuff. And I don't know that Linda Hamilton is like a good badass, but I was never like, oh, Linda Hamilton. There were plenty of movies we're going to watch where like 18-year-old me was like, oh, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think, you know, I liked Pierce Brosnan as an actor, and I liked Linda Hamilton, and I liked Volcano movies, I guess.
I mean, a good disaster movie is pretty reliable because there's going to be destruction, but it's usually on an epic scale, and it doesn't get too gross. Compound fractures aside,
right?
Like, you know, people die, but you don't see it
always. Yeah.
And there's usually they have some sort of morality play element, like, you know, listen to scientists, which we keep having to learn that lesson.
Need to show a lot of people this movie.
Yes.
Listen to scientists and don't downplay potential disasters for political reasons.
Right. People panic when they're not given accurate information.
Yes. So what do you think about this movie?
Yeah.
You enjoy it?
Well, so you mentioned Linda Hamilton and T2, and I've never seen any of the Terminator movies, but I remember when that one came out, there was a big deal about her arms. Like, she was super buff.
Yeah, she got real,
And she does, I think she's sleeveless one time. I'm just sort of surprised that there was not like Linda Hamilton as action star.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's kind of not really that role, but
sure.
I mean, you know, that it's like anything. If you're not that guy, like if you're not Arnold Schwarzenegger or Chris Hemsworth or, well, even him, he kind of lets it slide. If you're not a body guy, as they say in the wrestling business, if you're not a body guy, then when you're not doing a role, like you're not walking around with definition. So, and I think that's probably the case with her. By this time, she was several years removed from T2.
Oh, was it? Okay. I think
it
really.
was 95, 96. I can't remember exactly.
I don't know.
You know, yeah, she was several years removed from T2. And you probably that was never, I think, intended to be her thing. That she was like the buff, but she got buff.
It was just a one time thing.
Well, and you know, with good reason, right? She was portraying a character who was stuck in a prison, preparing for the end of the world. So yeah, like she did a lot of pull-ups, and
well, she was preparing for the end of the world here. She just didn't know it.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, that character, the Rachel Wando character.
That's a terrible name.
Yeah, it's a horrible name. Just like a weird, like, yeah, make up a name, cool, but like that's just a weird name to make up.
No, it's similar to the Terry and Harry thing.
Yeah,
like that's not
some weird. Like I feel like that screenwriter thought he was being really creative with the Wando thing.
That's not.
But anyway, like but this character though is a pretty decent character, like overall, right?
Sure,
she's a single mother. She's the mayor of the town while also running this little business that she has of like this deli. Oh, we didn't mention, speaking of the deli.
Explain, yeah.
Coffee is sort of a Twin Peaks-esque.
Yes, you know it's the 90s because coffee is a bit of a plot point. There's a sign at her deli that says best espresso east of Seattle.
Yeah.
New York says, what? I don't think so, but you know.
Yeah, and there's like, you know, on her sign it's like cappuccinos It's like cappuccinos, teas, and things.
And she's a little bit smitten with Harry, so she brings them coffee every morning, and she's calling out their orders, and she's macchiatos and things that I didn't know anybody knew existed in the 90s. But Harry, because he is a solid, just a guy, he just wants plain old coffee.
Give me black.
And later he tells her, your coffee isn't really that good.
Yeah. So and he, there's this whole there's a bit of a thing for the coffee nerds in there where she talks about what kind of beans she uses, and never freeze your beans, and she uses this machine, which I'm sure is a name drop of a machine you would have known, because one of the scientist characters is very he's a coffee guy,
very
he's that kind of character. So he's very
was that was I don't know, that's how you know it's the 90s, is they were big on coffee.
But she's maybe not the most deep character, but her character development is way more than Harry's or really anybody else in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, so we know that she had a husband who she hasn't heard from, who abandoned her and her kids.
I'm gonna extrapolate that he worked at the mine.
Right.
And then when it closed,
shortly,
he just
a couple years after it closed, he never found a job, and so he just abandoned them. And still she's making it in the world. Mm-hmm. So there's this whole arc for her character and everything. So she's maybe has the most satisfying character arc, maybe.
Yeah.
Although it is do all you check off your tropes or whatever. She needs saving, and she needs a man to give her life value. I don't know, whatever. You can definitely lodge many of those critiques if you wanted to, but just from the standpoint of the movie, she's definitely one of the most well-rounded characters in the movie.
I would say she's not a shrinking violet. She's somebody that I would like to have around. I was delighted to see that grandma, whose name is Ruth, was played by, and this reference will get nobody probably. She was the mother in Sisters, which was this soapy show that aired on NBC in early to mid 90s. And it was 4 sisters whose father had just died. And it was very controversial because in the first scene of the pilot, the 4 sisters and the mother, these are all adult sisters at this point, they're all sitting around in the steam room at a sauna talking about orgasms. Well, for 1993, whatever this was. Anyway, yes. So, and it's loosely based on Little Women, and it was, but it was on Friday nights, and 14-year-old me thought it was great. So anyway, she was the mother. So I was delighted to see her in other things.
Good
she's in her 90s now, but she's still alive, but not acting. So
yes. Speaking of people who were in this movie that we knew, Lady Cop.
Yes.
From Three Fugitives is in this movie. Just reliable female character actor.
Yes, she's lady council member.
Yes.
This time.
Yeah, as I think I said when we were watching it, if you need a lady blank, this is your lady.
Well, and I liked she's kind of a gossip is what we were meant to understand, right? I sort of liked that. Harry's about to kiss Rachel as they're walking home, and then she comes by and says, "Hi."
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So so what is the verdict on this movie for you? What did you think? Would you recommend modern audiences to consume this?
I think disaster movies are kind of, you like them or you don't.
Sure, it's a genre.
And if you do, then sure. I have watched Day After Tomorrow, bits and pieces of it, half a dozen times. Mm-hmm. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, then yes, sure. However, with things like this, where there's some science to the movie, or it depends on it follows the inner workings of any particular profession. I always want to watch it like Mystery Science Theater style with someone who's in that profession and just hear all the things that are wrong. I still remember, you've seen Vertical Limit, right?
Yeah.
So it's about mountain climbing, and they're climbing Everest. And that's all you really need to know for these purposes. And a guy that I worked with was big into mountain climbing. I don't think he'd done Everest, but he had done some tall peaks. And he went to see it, and he said he cackled at the most inappropriate moments because they're doing these things they've got, aluminum water bottles, and they're up, 10,000 feet, and they're drinking out of them, gloveless hands. And he's their hands would freeze to the bottle right away. And
Yeah.
he's cracking up at all these moments, and people are turning around in the theater, hissing at him like, stop it. This is dramatic. This is blah, blah. And he's like, you don't even understand how stupid this is.
Yeah.
So I always want to watch with that kind of person to tell me how it could be, because,
totally.
I mean, this is, I edit for a living. I always think everything can be made better, and I want to know how we would make it better. But
yeah, well, and there is the whole thing of sometimes the subject matter of these movies wouldn't make a good movie if it was realistic as it should be, or if it passed the muster of, with an actual professional.
Yeah.
Which is so often the case. Like, anytime I see hacking in a movie, like having worked on computers for the last 15 years or whatever. Yeah. Like, and worked in networking, like, that's not, let me just bounce a signal off the Russian satellite. And that's not how any of that works, but sometimes you can suspend disbelief. Sometimes you can't. I definitely know there are movies where you're just like Operation Swordfish is a hacking movie where like they're literally, if I recall correctly, doing like, they have like virtual OS type stuff, and they're doing all this crazy, just so it's,
and like nobody is going to buy it.
Yeah. And sometimes you could watch like the movie Hackers, which is so dated and campy and was kind of like, even at the time, was tongue in cheek almost in the way it depicted hacking, and you can kind of appreciate it. So this one's somewhere maybe more towards, it tried to take the science seriously, but it made the concessions that I think it thought it needed to make a good, quote, air quotes, movie.
Yeah. I would have appreciated a little bit more, like I said, exposition though. Like I think anyone who's listening to this who actually knows the science is probably going to laugh at me. I think Day After Tomorrow at least set up the science of the movie well. I don't know how accurate it is to real science.
They set up the stakes of the science.
Yeah.
Like, okay, hey, we got this wind. It just comes in and it just freezes you solid. Like,
and you didn't ever wonder like, what happened to that guy? Why is he just holding still? Like, you knew all and when things happened, you're like, okay, they told me about this in the PowerPoint at the beginning or whatever. So I could have stood a little bit more exposition is all. Sure. But, volcanoes, like, not subtle.
Right. And you can get in the weeds with some of that. Like, I didn't really need much of an explanation to know why the people boiled alive in the hot springs. Like, okay, like you panned under the water and you showed a red glow. Like, okay, sure, like whatever, lava, like something happened and it boiled the water.
Sure,
Like, so there are the stakes. I think it really is more like, especially with Day After Tomorrow, it's about explaining the stakes, how the volcano creates the stakes that put the heroes in danger.
Yeah,
like nobody's mentioned a pyroclastic flow until it literally happens. So they have to very quickly do exposition to tell you why this is scary and why they can't just hunker down in the car and get away from it.
Yeah.
Like they have to very quickly explain it in a way that, is going to push the plot forward. But someone could have, you could have done that in the opening. You could, like somewhere else in the movie, you could have set up a lot of these different things. You could have set them up through his backstory, different things like that. But overall, I mean, I think the number one thing about this movie for modern audiences is because they use mostly miniatures and they did it well, it doesn't look dated at all.
No, when you were saying that earlier, there are some older movies where, I look at it with a modern eye and you think, oh my God, this is so lame. Like I can totally tell this is not real. Yeah. And there were no moments of that for me. Now, I don't have a great eye for noticing those things, but it wasn't jarring. So.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, there are obviously things that date it, like the cars and stuff.
Oh,
because as it was with movies of this time frame, like movies in the mid to late 90s, all of the cars just always seem to be from like the late 80s.
Yes.
Like there are no, like, where's the Ford Contours and
you sort of forget that people kept cars for like 10, 15 years.
Right. Exactly.
At the time.
Yeah. So like all the cop cars are these old, Fairmonts or whatever. They're these Vics. There are these old style Crown Vics with the boxy fronts, and the SUV that she drives is like like an 89 Highlander or something. If a Highlander was even the thing, I don't know, but it's a Toyota, and there's these big Broncos, big boxy Broncos.
Everything's
like
boxy.
Yeah, like by 97, the car design had taken a certain leap forward. So if you're looking at it modern, like it's going to look like, you're going to look at the cars and some of the fashion. Speaking of fashion,
Yes,
Let's not forget to mention your
noticed. Did we talk about this? I don't remember. Yeah, so we didn't see Linda Hamilton's buff arms, but she was rocking this late 90s miniskirt at the beginning.
Okay. That's not what I was talking about.
Yeah, when she's getting dressed to present this thing, I mean, like that is a mini, and she can pull it off, and that's fine. But I am glad that right now you are not expected to wear a mini skirt if you're over 22, because
or the mayor isn't expected to wear a mini skirt.
Yes.
Also, her kid in that scene has a sick burn where she's like looking for her jacket, and she's like, "I'm looking for my good jacket."
You don't have a good jacket.
You don't have a good jacket.
Oh, I mean the blue one. That
one.
Yeah,
that's over here. No, I was talking about fashion choices made by the hooligan friends of the Sun when they come out of the mine.
Oh,
one of the kids, they have that he has that slacker haircut where it's just long hair, but it's not long enough. It's like a soccer mom haircut almost, or something like that.
It's like parted in the middle and it's face framing, and then
he's wearing a Slipknot shirt.
Yeah,
Slipknot t-shirt,
big enough to be a sail on a boat. It's ginormous.
Yeah, and he's wearing
huge
JNCOs.
pants.
Yeah, if you know what a JNCO is, then he's wearing those.
Yeah, there's enough fabric on him to clothe 3 children his size.
Yes.
It was
So there's some of that. There's some of that. Although if you're just Slipknot is still a band, so that's still a thing, but the actual fashions, a little much. So there's that kind of stuff. But
I do enjoy that
think
kind of thing.
I think anybody would enjoy this movie. It's fun. It's dumb. Turn your brain off.
Yeah.
Just watch it and enjoy it. And like I said, this doesn't say anything maybe about my my character as a person. It didn't build anything or create anything within my psyche or scar me or anything like that. It was just a fun movie that I watched and liked and remembered. But that's the thing. Every one of these isn't going to be attached to a story about how this movie changed my life. Sometimes it's just, this movie is fun and kind of dumb, and I want to share it with my spouse.
Entertained me for a while. So,
Exactly.
Yes.
So Dante's Peak. And is that it?
That's Dante's Peak. So life lessons: don't move anywhere that's near a dormant volcano.
Yeah, and don't doubt a scientist, or you will die.
Yes. That is an especially important lesson right now.
Yes.
So also
don't
live anywhere that takes its name from a well-known, I don't even know what we call Divine Comedy.
It's an
epic poem, I think.
Right? But I don't know,
don't live anywhere that has allusions to hell in its name.
Yeah.
Like Lucifer's Village. No, that's not a good idea.
It's come down and visit us in Brimstone Crossing.
Right.
Don't.
That's not going to end well.
No, it's never going to end. Unless you want, a disaster to take place. Like if you
have a death wish.
Yeah, I'm just looking for the worst possible thing. All right, well, you welcome to Chupacabra, New Mexico. It's on.
Yeah, but mostly listen to scientists.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I think that's going to do it.
All right, that's Dante's Peak, y'all. All right, stay safe, stay away from volcanoes, listen to scientists. Bye.
Bye. The You Show Me Yours theme song is Uplifting Electronic Indie by Winnie the Moog from filmmusic.io.